Hi Virgo, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your June 2022 tarot reading. Thanks to those of you who liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, I take out the cross spread as always, and I also pulled a 4 agreements, wisdom, oracle, and Mudra card for you guys. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling off the astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, so we have Mercury, and at the time recording this, Mercury retrograde started, and it will be going on until around the 4th of June, I believe, and then we're going to have the shadow period for a couple weeks after that, so pretty much almost right up until Cancer season until that energy is fully clear, but of course Mercury relates to communication. Alright, we have 6, so 6th house energy for you guys is Aquarius. I do see Aquarius energy in your spread, and then also as far as astrologically speaking, Saturn will start a retrograde cycle in Aquarius during the month of June, so it could definitely be some revisiting things around your work, daily routines, and health. And we have Leo. So Leo for you guys is the 12th house. I do see a Leo energy there as well. So yeah, 12th house relates to spirituality, possible blind spots, and even mental health. And astrologically speaking, not much going on there yet, but yeah, looks like that could be coming up for you guys too. So moving on to your spread, in the main situation position, we have the Hermit, which is the major arcana card for you guys, and challenging that, we have the Ace of Swords. So interesting dynamics here, because to me this shows that you're in an introspective mood, and definitely just trying to wrap your mind around something, and it seems to be eluding you, right? So there could be some truth that you're seeking, but for whatever reason, it seems like it's just not getting through for you at this time. Yeah, it's primarily what I'm getting there. Now, at the time of recording this, we're pretty much under that full moon eclipse energy in Scorpio, which is your 3rd house communication. So hopefully for some of you that actually will come through around that time, but if not, it seems like there just might be a bit of a loop that you're playing mentally as we get into June. All right, in the foundation position, we have Judgment. Speaking of Scorpio energy, I also view this as Scorpio energy a lot of times. So yeah, for some of you, at the very least, especially if you watch this when I first posted, keep an eye out for what you find out during the time of the Scorpio full moon eclipse. There could really be something that brings a situation to light for you. And of course, like I mentioned as well, in addition to that, we have the Mercury retrograde. That's your chart ruler. So Mercury retrogrades tend to hit rather heavily for you guys as well. So yeah, between the retrograde and the eclipse season stuff finishing up, you guys might get some insight around a situation that might have eluded you in the past, and then in the process of getting that information, you might be able to revive something from the past as well. All right, in the past position, we have the Knight of Wands. So this is a Sagittarius energy here, and so for some of you, this could just be saying maybe even something that happened around the time of Sagittarius season could be what you're revisiting, which would make sense as far as now as we move through Gemini season, you get to see those same situations from the opposite perspective. So it could be some energy related to that there. For you guys, Sagittarius energy relates to your 4th house too, of home, family, your mother, so there could be some energy wrapped up in that as well. And for some of you, it could just be saying that maybe there was a rash decision as well, because the Knight of Wands tends to be a bit fast moving, so maybe there was a rash decision that led to all the stuff that we see that's going on now. All right, in the present position, we have the 2 of Wands. So this is Aries energy here. It looks like there's a desire for a fresh start around something. Now, astrologically speaking, of course, in June we're going to have Mars moving through these very degrees of Aries, as well as Jupiter too. So this is 8th house matters. So yeah, for some of you might be ready to put something to bed, right? Maybe something that's been lingering for you guys that you've really struggled to let go. So you could be looking for a fresh start around that. For other of you, this could just be saying that you're ready for a fresh start in general, right? Maybe you're processing something that's already been lost in the past, trying to integrate the lessons from that and starting fresh from there. 8th house energy could be good for that as well. All right, in the near future position, we have the 8 of Swords. So this represents the first 10 degrees of Gemini. So at the very least, this could just be saying that as we start Gemini season, you might not ready you might not be ready to move at all. So it could just really be stuck in your mind around, okay, what the next best step should be, right? Feeling like you can't move forward in some ways as well, which is just more of a mental blockage as far as that goes. But yeah, it looks like you could have a lot on your mind, possibly a lot of options, and you're trying to decide which is the best for you. All right. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Five of Cups. So yeah, clearly it looks like there's a disappointment that you guys have been experiencing. Could be around communication, since we're seeing the Scorpio energy pop up again here. And again, maybe even something that took place around the Scorpio full moon. Could be some disappointment around friendships, possibly. And if it comes to you needing to seek advice on something, what I would say this month, if you have a romantic partner, that might be the key. That's why I think of with the Two of Cups there. Maybe the key would be to reach out to them for this advice versus reaching out to your friends, where maybe you've already tried that, right? Been there, done that, and it hasn't really gotten you past a hurdle that you've been stuck behind. Or they just might not have the energy or focus to actually really see it from your perspective and give the solid advice you're seeking there. But that's what I see with that. All right. In the environment position, we have the King of Wands, Leo energy, and the Seven of Swords, Aquarius energy. So we did see the Leo energy pop up in your dice. So since I mentioned for you guys in particular, 12th house energy is Leo for you guys. So it could just be saying that there might be some self-deception at play, right? Where maybe you're not seeing the situation clearly. And again, especially I would say if you've already, all right, so let's say whatever this is, let's say you have friends who are like hyping you up around something, but then when you push through with it, in the reality, it doesn't pan out that way at all, right? It could just be it could be as simple as that, saying that who you're seeking your advice from, right, or bouncing ideas off of might not really truly have your best interest at heart. But for others, you just could just be saying there might be another person that you're dealing with as well, possibly a fire sign, possibly someone within the work environment, since we see the six came up as well, and sixth house energy is Aquarius for you guys. Possibly someone in your work environment too who deliberately leaves out parts of the story, knowing that it will leave you in that Eight of Swords state, right, where you're not quite sure what to do, kind of leaving you unsure of yourself. So in a way, that might even be how they elevate themselves in their eyes, right? Well, if I make everyone else feel insecure about themselves, that'll be the only way that they could see that, where they could elevate themselves in the process. You know what I mean? So obviously that's super toxic. Don't get me wrong. And normally you wouldn't think that with a King of Wands in the upright, but with the Seven of Wands, the Seven of Swords, rather directly beneath that, definitely seems to be what that dynamic could be coming across as here. See if anything else comes to mind with this. Now, the good thing is, with that Saturn retrograde that I mentioned that'll be taking place in your sixth house, I have the feeling that this will be coming to light this month. So if there is someone in your environment that's been doing that, just be on the lookout for what comes out this month as far as new insight around the situation. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Sun. I'm going to assume for the majority of you, this would be more of a hope than a fear, right? So yeah, it could just be saying that. I mean, if we look at the Hermit card, of course, that's probably very much a comfort zone for you guys because that's the major arcana card for your sign, and you guys tend to like to dig deep on situations anyway. But with the combining that with the Five of Cups and your influence, looks like there is a bit of a darker energy there, right? So this could just be saying that you guys are hoping to get out of that fog, right? See the situation more clearly, feel released from whatever the burden is, and be able to embrace a more light, playful energy. So that's what I see with that. And in the outcome position, we have the Nine of Wands. So yeah, for some of you, this could even just be things that might have happened from your early upbringing, right? That are just holding you back in some way, because we see the Sagittarius energy in the past there, and we see the Hermit looking toward that, the Ace of Swords pointing toward that as well, and then here we see the Nine of Wands, right? So could be saying that that's the key for you guys in some way. Now, when we say early upbringing, doesn't mean necessarily the parental environment, right? It could even be something that happened to you when you were in school and kids made some joke about you and you've been like self-conscious about it ever since, right? So whatever the case may be, looks like some kind of blockage for you guys. And I feel like it's it's blocking you from seeing how far you've gone, right? So what I mean by that is if we look at the Nine of Wands, what I always think about is how he's holding on pretty tightly to that one wand, right? And almost like unaware of the eight that are behind him, which represents the work, the progress that was made, right? But he's like holding on so tightly to that one and just expecting, waiting for your other shoe to drop. If you look at his facial expression, he doesn't look all that optimistic, right? So could just be saying that, yeah, there could just be a belief that you had. And maybe people put like unrealistic expectations on you when you were growing up too. That's another way that could be playing out, right? And then maybe they even had well intention behind it, but it could just be more of a blockage for you to where I do feel like you are still probably making progress, but you don't view it that way at the same time. So that's the tricky part, right? All right. And bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Swords. So more Aquarius energy here, and that's 6 house for you guys. You saw that in the dice as well. We saw the Seven of Swords. So the good thing here is it could just be saying that a lot of you might finally be leaving that behind. Right now, the 6th house could also point to self-criticism too. So if there is some kind of dynamic that you've had that's led to you being very self-critical of yourselves, this could just be saying that you might be leaving that behind this month too, which is obviously a good thing. And maybe that Saturn retrograde is going to bring that up for you. And the good thing is beneath that, we also see the world. So yeah, looks like this is something that you're probably meant to let go, right? And that's what the judgment energy could be bringing out. And beneath that, we see the Ten of Cups. So pretty positive energies once you get past that, right? So may not feel like the lightest, fluffiest month, but it looks like there is actually some pretty solid progress to be made from it. So overall, it's a positive. So yeah, moving on to your 4 agreements card, we have be impeccable with your word. It says seek to know the truth. Sounds like a good idea, right? Let's see what we have on the message. It says when you hear an opinion and believe it, you make an agreement and it becomes part of your belief system. The only thing that can break this agreement is to make a new one based on truth. Only the truth has the power to set you free. This definitely seems to point to what we were talking about there, right? Where, like I said, it could have even been something that seemingly was innocuous, right? Like, oh, some kid made a joke about you when you were like 10 years old or 12 years old, and it's just stuck with you ever since, right? And there was no truth behind it, and maybe they didn't even realize it would have this crazy impact on you, but could be that, right? For others of you, could be more of the way you were raised in a certain way, right? That maybe fit well for your parents, but maybe doesn't fit for you and what you want to do for your life, right? And these things could just be causing more of a burden and a hindrance for you than actually helping. So could be along those lines there. It doesn't have to be that deep for everyone, I guess, but yeah, hopefully that resonated. And moving on to your Wisdom Oracle card, we have Round and Round. There's the artwork, and the number is 25. So 7 energy there. But let's see what this has to say. Okay. Hold on, the wrong page. There we go. Under essential meanings, it says the spiral quality of events when a lesson isn't quite integrated, cycles you are challenged to break, revisiting a pattern from a new perspective. The Oracle's message. The appearance of this card is a reminder that although it may appear that you've gone backward, the truth is that you are standing at a higher level, looking down into your circumstances. You will learn something, do something better, and break a cycle set up in the past. You actually have a bird's eye view of your initial footprints and can access the wisdom and lessons learned. So the part about the bird's eye view of your initial footprints makes me think of the hermit, because if you look at it closely, it actually looks like he's at the top of a mountain. So I could just be saying that you are at a higher vantage point and can look down on those things and really see from a different perspective what's taking place. And then that message also was making me think of what I said here too, where this person seems to hold on tightly to that wand, possibly even unaware of the other 8 that are behind them, right? So hopefully that resonated. Okay, the relationship message says, are you wondering, how did I get here again? Does something feel familiar right now in your dynamics with others? Maybe a little too familiar? Don't be surprised that you found yourself repeating an old story with the same sort of person who may not look similar, but who attracted you because of your easy acquaintance with his or her qualities. Your relationship is a mix of what is good and what is potentially challenging. You have been drawn to this person through the perfection of Spirit's plan for your evolution. You may have circled back to an accustomed spot, a familiar place, but that's fine, as you get to do things again, only differently this time, for you learned something of great value since the last time around. How will you choose to behave now that you're aware? Remain curious and stay out of the blame game. So yeah, reading that message there definitely brings me back to what I was talking about with this King of Wands energy with that Seven of Swords beneath it. Where, like I said, there could be someone who might try to diminish your accomplishments in your eyes, right, to keep you small, because that's really the only way that they're able to feel big. And I almost feel bad, like, dragging this King of Wands character, but again, with the Seven of Swords right beneath it, and that representing 12th house energy for you guys, which could represent blind spots, and the fact that he's looking right at that Eight of Swords, which is someone blindfolded, unsure of themselves, right, not able to move, to me says that that could definitely be the dynamic some of you are in. If that's the case, I feel sorry for you guys in that regard, and hopefully you are able to move yourselves out of that situation. But yeah, that's kind of what I see with that. Worst case, there will be a love specific reading next week, and hopefully it's not a repeat of that dynamic. But yeah, just keep that in mind for those of you who this isn't your situation when it comes to relationships. The prosperity message says if you're in a scenario that appears to be an echo of something that's already happened in the past in your work life, it is because you're being invited to see what you couldn't see before. This is a perfect time for you to look at the deeper motives you have and your attraction to the opportunities and people who have entered your life to be part of your journey to prosperity. Who helps you navigate? Who sabotages you? Who supports you? What are the familiar signs in your responses to them when you find yourself in a repeat of a pattern of the past? It's a good time to get a coach or mentor who can help you see what you can't on your own. Repeat what works, not what doesn't. Then you will free yourself from the old cycles and cease going round and round. So yeah, pretty positive message there, especially, I mean, the same way we talked about this in a romantic relationship possibility. Of course, like I said, it could also be in a work environment too, right? If we think of the King of Wands possibly representing a boss within a workplace or something like that. So they'll diminish your achievements, right, to help themselves feel better, but obviously that could have a negative impact on you to where you start believing that stuff and not believing in yourself, basically. So hopefully that resonated as well. And lastly, we have a mudra for you guys. So this is your mudra here. It's the Sumukha mudra. The keyword for it is coordination. All right, and there's the info on it if you want to pause it or take a screenshot to read what it has to say. But under benefits, it says balances left and right sides of the body, harmonizes all 5 elements, activates the body's self-healing power, benefits the tendons and bones, increases concentration power, builds devotion and spiritual resolve. So if that sounds like a mudra you think would be beneficial for you guys, I will put the name in the description of the video as always. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.